I'll just show you my vocal track here. I have obviously some reverb here. I like this isotope ozone reverb, so that's what I was going through. But before I really get into all of this, let me show you the whole concept behind the creation of this project. So I have a slideshow for you here. Just going to turn off that patch, and then I'm going to describe to you all of this wonderful stuff that I've been doing in Ableton. All right, so the Alex Plays one-man show. How did it come about? What was the process like? And how did I get from the album to this point? Well, let's first talk about the album creation phase. So I decided to write an album, and my intention was to kind of cap off the first album I did as Alex Plays with a style of music that was a little bit more, I wouldn't say generic, but a little bit more popular. My first album was kind of a world mix, and a lot of the stuff that you heard today was from my first album. So I used like this instrument here, which is a Santor. And I wanted to create something in terms of a live show that would incorporate both sides of my evolution. So the obvious step for me was to use Ableton Live, simply because I could control things a lot easier, and because I wanted to be current with what I see out there as the way in which music is being delivered. I wanted it to be electronic. I wanted to have some elements of a DJ and then some elements of, you know, just playing an instrument. After all, I spent all those years learning how to play guitars and such and stringed instruments. I wanted to add those together. So album creation phase, in this case, I used a program called Digital Performer. I could have used Ableton to create the tracks, or create the songs for that matter, but that's just a workflow thing. I liked Digital Performer. I like the way it handles MIDI, and so that's how I created the initial compositions. And then I turned some of those compositions, like the last one you heard, into something called a TV mix. So that is basically everything except for the vocals or maybe the guitar part. They call it TV mix because, you know, if you're on TV and, you know, you have like the fake backing band that's not really plugged in and there's no mics on the drums, they play a TV mix, right? So that's what I had to create in that case. And at that point then I said, well, wait a minute though, I don't want to just do just TV mixes and not have any organic elements occurring in my show. I want to actually, you know, create music live on the spot, much like what I did today. Well, I thought, well, don't you need a band for that? I thought, well, no, maybe I could use loops. I could create loops live and then just do it based on how I was feeling in the moment. Now, a lot of my inspiration probably comes from some of the jazz influence that I have, but also my experience going to Grateful Dead concerts ages ago, and how they, you know, would just morph in and out of things just organically. So somehow I wanted to have that opportunity to present that to an audience, but on my own, so that I could really orchestrate it. So it was like composition on the fly. So I decided to create an Ableton session. And let's just go through this Ableton session here. Here are those bed tracks / TV mixes, okay? So I have a whole channel strip dedicated just to those, okay? Some of them I've chopped up into different pieces, and others I've just kept them as they were on the album. It really depends on the song, okay, if I felt like extending it. In some cases, I don't even use a TV mix. Like there's a song here that I'll just give you a quick little play. You know, I just build it from scratch with the bass and the guitar, you know. But in this case, here's my bed track. And I decided to, on this channel here, put an EQ8 and a compressor. I didn't purposefully I didn't put my mastered versions of the TV mixes on there, just because if for some reason, you know, while I'm in the creative process, or maybe I'm on the road and I have like a new mix I want to throw in there, I don't want to have like an issue with some mixes sounding too loud and some mixes not being in the right place. So I figured that I would kind of create like almost like a mastering setup on the channel itself, so I could deal with it that way. So that's basically that channel. And now let's just take a look here at the routing, because there's a lot of routing going on here. So I have, of course, my computer here, and I have a whole bunch of USB going out. I have this APC 40. So I'm basically the opposite of the Ableton Push here. You know, Ableton Push is just like one thing. I have like a lot of different controllers. This guy's here just in case I'm having trouble and I need to maybe turn the master volume down on one track or something like that, just as a visual, because as you can see, the laptop's on that side, and if for some reason I need to turn something off, I should have access on this side as well, and it's very quick to turn it off. Now, I have that. I have this Axiom 25, which is controlling an instrument called Omnisphere, which is a really, really nice virtual instrument. I have a bunch of patches that I've loaded in here. And I set it up so that my knobs on top here on the Axiom 25 are controlling the levels of each sound, right? So I can, let's just say I want to, you know, give myself more level on the. Sorry, I'm having trouble seeing the mouse. There we go. If I want to give more level on my sound here, so you can see that. And I can also, I'm just going to turn this to auto.
Hey, Alex.
Yes.
Can you walk us through the
Sure.
MIDI learn process that you had to do in order to get the Axiom to talk to Omnisphere?
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. Sure. So I'll do that right now. I'll do it for channel 5 here. Okay, so let's just get rid of that. Okay. And I basically right-clicked this guy, and I did that. And then what happened was, when you instantiate Omnisphere for the first time, all of these different variables are not available to you. Okay, so you'll have Omnisphere up, and it'll just show just the first part of the left side of that window, and these other things over here, these other sliders are not available to you until you actually do that right-click here and go MIDI CC learn, right? And then this becomes available to you. So then I clicked here, right, while I have the MIDI learn function in Ableton on, and then I just simply turned the knob and it learned that, right? So I'm just going to turn this off, and I'm going to show you, for example, if I turn knob number 1, right, and in my case, to get number 1 to work, there we go, here we are, there it is. So what I did to arm one of these Omnisphere tracks, I made it so that, and this might sound complicated, but I made it so that scene 1, track 2 of my Korg Nano arms Omnisphere instrument 1. So you can see, look at the screen here. Let me just turn this MIDI off.
And just to be clear, Omnisphere is a multi-timbral device, right? Everybody gets that? Meaning you've got each one of those faders represents a different instrument that represents a different MIDI channel.
Right.
Right? So
right.
You've set up multiple MIDI channels in there to trigger each different instrument in Omnisphere.
Correct. I have a group. Actually, this is a whole group that I've created for Omnisphere, and over here you can see it says Omnisphere 2, right? Omnisphere 3, etc., 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 right? So yes. So that's how that works. Should move forward? Okay, so now let me go back to the keynote here. Okay, so that was fun doing. And then you might have noticed that I had some kind of stuttering effects that I just like pressed a key, and that was lots of fun to do. I really enjoyed that. Well, how I did that was tinkering with a really, really amazing plugin that the guys at Isotope have. It's on my master fader here, and it's called Stutter Edit. And in order to control Stutter Edit, you need to create a MIDI track. Okay, and I've dedicated the input of this MIDI track to the LPK 25 here. Okay, and it's going to Stutter Edit. Okay, so you basically create a MIDI track, and it controls the Stutter Edit that's residing on the master fader. All right, so let's get back to the master fader. There we go, Stutter Edit. Okay, so each one of these keys has a different gesture. Basically a different effects combination, delays, bit crushing, low pass, high pass filters, a whole variety of them. What I decided to do was I just went through a bunch of presets and I tweaked them. And I chose the ones that fit most musically with what I was doing. I'll just show you a little bit of that. So you can see there's a bunch of presets here, and you can just, you know, for example, just say I like, let's go here. You like this guy, you can copy it. So Command C, and then I could even paste that here. You see? And then once you know exactly what then you have to hear it, and then you might want to change some of the parameter. You might want to change the value, the quantizing value, you know, the 16th triplets. Maybe I should just play a track and give you an idea. Let's just go here. Basically fading in and out. There's a bit of a stereo delay. There's a whole bunch of different things. I'm actually out of my own personal setup here, so let me just go back to what I had. All right, there we go. Yeah. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so I thought it would be a really good idea to have these gestures as transitions. When you have a drummer, you know, the drummers use a cymbal, they'll use a gong, they'll use different kinds of things to create the sense that there's a transition occurring. So I thought I would use these gestures as a way to create transitions. I also added on the master fader track an auto filter as well, which is controlled by this pedal, which I'm going to describe to you more about in a moment here. So the MPD32 is controlling that drum machine that I had earlier. You know, I just have it just controlling that, and it's not doing anything else. It could do a whole bunch of things. It also can control the channel, like channels 1 through 8 if it would like, but I'm not utilizing it for that purpose. But I think the real heart of everything here is the Motu Traveler. I have a lot connected into the Motu Traveler. Not only do I have a whole bunch of audio going into the Motu Traveler, I mean, you know, the bass, the guitar, the cello, and the Santor, I also have a MIDI in and out. And that's controlling, let's just say, the one side of the heart, and that's the FCB 1010. So with the FCB 1010, channel 1, when I click that, that arms the guitar track. channel 2 arms a rhythm guitar track, which has a kind of a different sound, right? That's dirty. And then channel 3 has a clean sound. And button number 4 is my loop button. It's actually really straightforward, especially with Ableton version 9. I'll show you. I basically mapped the button to, this is the button that's mapped right up here. And so I'll just show you that here. And every time I enable this, or press this button here, whatever track is armed, right, will record. Right? As you can see, we just created a little track here, right? A little loop. Okay.
Is there a way, how do you preset the length of that record, or at what point do you tell it to start looping?
I just, I have it set to bar lengths.
Mm-hmm.
I could like press a command and 0, command and 9, you know, to change and toggle between those two different things. But I have it set to bar lengths. I was going to have it set to like 16th notes or 8th notes, and I did have it that way, so like I could record something and make it like maybe 2 beats long or make it 6 beats long. Then I found that there were times when there were errors, and I didn't want to take the chance of having those kinds of errors, so I've kept everything to just 1 bar length. So every time I get to beat 4, I press the button, and then it brings me into the next scene with no problems. And you know, it's you don't want to ruin your loop because you might have hit it just at 1 second off or something like that. So that's basically how I get that thing going there. So I'm just going to show you. So right now I have the bass on, right? I can turn it off. Guitar, right? It's another guitar sound. This is the cello sound. And this is the Santor. And of course I also have my vocal track as well. I could record myself and sing over myself as well, which is something I do later on in the performance. And this over here, this pedal here, is the global filter. So I just have like a filter sweep. You heard me doing that at one point with this pedal here. Why not? If I'm playing and I want to have a sweep happening, it's cool to have it on a pedal instead of using this. I mean, I could totally use the the APC 40 to do such things. It's very easy to use. I mean, I can show you that. But I preferred to do it this way. So let's go to the master fader track. And just move this, right? See that move? Of course, if I press master here, the same, right? Just gives me some options, just in case I need them. Especially since, like I said, I've been creating a lot of this on the fly. I want to have as many options as possible, depending on which side of the stage I'm at, right? Okay, so, I've assigned instruments beyond the 8 instruments or 8 channels that the APC can handle. I don't want to have to, go through different scenes or different banks to find the channels. So what I did was I programmed my Korg Nano to handle other channels, so I can, turn levels up or down. So as you can see over here. Second. Get to the right one. There we go. You can see I'm turning Omnisphere up and down and the Stylus RMX, Jupiter, etc. Right? As opposed to, if you look at the top of the screen, there's this red box. This is what the APC 40 is controlling. And I could go like this. I could probably even somehow find a way to toggle like with a foot pedal between the two areas, I'm sure. But that might take me a lot of time, and while I'm playing and thinking about what I'm going to play, I don't want to have to think. I just want to just move the knob. You know what I mean?